This video is for educational purpose only. Our group is allowing Mr. Roldan Ardines to use this as an educational material.
For the objectives of this topic is that first we would like to discuss the origins and manifestations of global environmental crisis that can be related to everyday encounters such as pollution, global warming, desertification, zone depletion, and etc. Two is to know the relationship of population growth to environmental issues. And lastly, number three, what is the future of globalization on environmental crisis?
Good day, sir. I am Engine Cadet Mallorca John Paul M, and I am here in front of you to report about environmental crisis. So, what is environmental crisis? These are distinguished by rapid and largely unexpected changes in the environmental quality that are difficult, if not impossible, to reverse. I can define environmental crisis as a dramatic, unexpected, and irreversible worsening of the environment, leading to significant welfare loss. So it includes and precludes several things. So first is the changes and dramatic and rapid interpace. So therefore, example, the reduction of species numbers worldwide and a gradual reduction in fish stock does not constitute as an environmental crisis under its definition because fish stock can reproduce and reproduce. This time we must discuss the origins and manifestation of global environmental crisis relate to everyday encounter. So first is pollution. So we know that pollution is not a new phenomenon. In fact, pollution has been a problem since the appearance of our earliest ancestors. Increasing of young populations have opened the door to more bacteria and disease. So, such as cholera, typhoid fever broke all out across Europe. So, as we know, pollution it is harmful materials into the environment. These harmful materials are called pollutants. So, pollutants can be natural, such as volcanic ash. They can also be created by human activity, such as trash or runoff produced by factories. Pollutants damage the quality of air, water, and land. As I have said, pollutants or pollution can damage the quality of air, water, and land. So, first is air pollution. So, air pollution is a major global environment risk in our health and food security. So, this means sometimes air pollution is visible. And for example, a person can see dark smoke pour in exhaust pipes of large trucks or factories. Uh, and some pollutants are invisible. And polluted air can be dangerous. As we say, it can be invisible. And it can make people eyes burn and make them have difficult breathing. So it can cause or lead or an increased risk of lung cancer because of this air pollution. So next is water pollution. So some polluted water looks muddy, smells bad, and has garbage floating in it. So some polluted water looks clean, but it's filled with harmful chemicals you can see or smell. So polluted water is unsafe for drinking and swimming. Some people who drink polluted water are exposed to hazardous chemicals that may make or that can make or get them sick that last for years, or it can be seen the effect or years later. Lastly is land pollution. Many of the same pollutants that foul the water also harm the land. Like mining sometimes leaves the soil contaminated with dangerous chemicals. So pesticides and fertilizers from agricultural fields are blown by the wind. They can harm plants, animals, and sometimes people. Some fruits and vegetables absorb the pesticides and help them grow. When people consume the fruits and vegetables, the pesticides enter the bodies, and some pesticides can cause cancer and other diseases.
Good day, everyone. I am Engine Cadet J. Lord Emmanuel Bulilan, and I'm going to report the origins and manifestations of global environmental crisis relate everyday encounters with global warming. So first, let's define global warming. So what is global warming? Global warming is the long-term heating of Earth's climate system observed since the pre-industrial period due to human activities, primarily fossil fuel burning, which increases heat-trapping greenhouse gas levels in Earth's atmosphere. So, through natural cycles and fluctuations have caused the Earth's climate to change several times over the last 800,000 years. Our current era of global warming is directly attributable to human activity, specifically to our burning of fuel fossils such as coal, oil, gasoline, and natural gas, which results in greenhouse effect. So, why global warming is crisis? So, global warming impacts everyone's food and water security. Climate change is a direct cause of soil degradation, which limits the amount of carbon the Earth is able to contain. Some 500 million people today live in areas affected by erosion, while up to 30% of food is lost or wasted as a result. So what will we do to overcome this global warming crisis? So there are many changes we can bring about in our life, both big and small, to prevent global warming and save our planet. Firstly, we must stop deforestation in all forms. Do not cut down more trees as it will only worsen the level of carbon dioxide in the air. Instead, encourage people to plant even more trees to create a fine balance in nature. Moreover, it reduces the usage of energy everywhere. It does not matter if you are at home or at your office. The higher the energy used, the more the carbon dioxide produced. Thus, do not waste electricity as it requires the burning of fuel fossils. As a result of the burning of fossil fuels, greenhouse gases in the atmosphere increase rapidly and contribute to global warming. Moreover, reduce the carbon footprint and do not travel through planes that often. Most importantly, replace all your ordinary bulbs with LED lights. It will help in reducing the use of energy by a massive amount. Similarly, do not waste the energy. Instead of becoming more dependent, we need to reduce our dependence on fossil fuels and electricity right away. So by that, we can overcome this crisis, the global warming.
Good day, I'm Engine Cadet Civiliano and I'm explaining about the one of environmental crisis, which is the desertification. So first, what is desertification? A desertification is a land degradation in arid, semi-arid, and subhumid areas, accruing from multiple factors including variation in climates and human activities. Desertification is one of the widespread environmental degradation that reduce productivity of dryland ecosystems by reducing plant cover, loss of soil, organic matter, and increasing sand dunes. So, lastly, desertification is one of the major environmental concern and a significant barrier to meeting basic human needs in dry lands and is being constantly threatened by increases in human pressures and climatic variability.
There are different landscapes and climates around the world. Some landscapes are green with mild temperatures. Others are deserts, which have a sandy, rocky terrain with little to no rain. There are landscapes similar to that of the desert, They are called drylands. Unlike the desert, drylands receive more rain and can support plant growth. Sadly, these drylands are undergoing a process called desertification. They are literally becoming deserts. Desertification has been caused by human activities. When overpopulation became an issue, deforestation became the solution, leaving the soil open to the wind and rain to be eroded. Another influence is climate change, which is the Earth's reaction to air pollution caused by our use of fossil fuels. There is no way to stop desertification, but it can be slowed by planting trees and conserving energy. We must control desertification before it's too late.
These are some causes of desertification: overgrazing, climate change, overuse of groundwater, deforestation, and natural disasters. The effect of desertification. So it is affect the topsoil, surface runoff, to the human, animals and plants, pollution, water scarcity in drylands, and also limits in the production of wood. And there are many effects of desertification. So lastly, the manifestation of desertification. So it is include accelerated soil erosion by wind and water, increasing salinization of soil and near surface, groundwater supplies, reduction in soil moisture retention, an increase in surface runoff and stream flow variability, a reduction in species diversity and plant biomass, and lastly, a reduction in the overall productivity in dryland ecosystem with an attendant impoverishment of the human communities dependent on these ecosystems. So, as a human person, how we can induce desertation? For me, managing land sustainability can be avoid or reduce desertification and contribute to climate change, migration, and adaptation. Such sustainability land management practices includes reducing tillage and maintaining plant residues to keep soils covered, planting trees and degraded lands, growing a wider variety of crops, applying efficient irrigation methods, improving rangeland grazing by livestock, and many others. So that's all. Thank you.
Good day. I am Engine Cadet Larusarino D, and I will discuss the origin and manifestation of environmental crisis of ozone depletion. So, what is ozone depletion? Ozone depletion, gradual thinning of Earth's ozone layer in the upper atmosphere, caused by the release of chemical compounds containing gaseous chlorine or bromine from industry and other human activities. The thinning is most pronounced in the polar regions, especially over Antarctica. Ozone depletion is a major environmental problem because it increases the amount of ultraviolet UV radiation that reaches Earth's surface, which increases the rate of skin cancer, eye cataracts, and genetic immune system damage. The Montreal Protocol, ratified in 1987, was the first of several comprehensive international agreements enacted to halt the production and use of ozone-depleting chemicals. As a result of continued international cooperation on this issue, the ozone layer is expected to recover over time. Life is protected from UV rays by a stratospheric ozone layer which acts as a shield or sunscreen. Approximately 90% ozone is present in stratospheric at the height of 10 to 17 kilometers and is called ozone layer, while remaining 10% is present in troposphere. Medium frequency UV radiation are observed 97 to 99% by the ozone layer. Atmospheric ozone layer depletion is a serious problem currently facing the world. The ozone layer protects humans, animals, and plants from harmful ultraviolet rays. Money and time are being spent on ozone repair, but the problem still exists. The ozone layer is a region of the stratosphere containing ozone, or O3 gas. The ozone layer is essential to both plant and animal life on Earth because it protects the surface from dangerous ultraviolet light. However, industrial and domestic chemicals that are currently in use have been found to destroy ozone, and the problem has escalated to an ozone layer hole above Antarctica. Ozone levels there are 40% below normal, and there may be another ozone hole forming above.
The ozone layer acts as Earth's sunscreen, absorbing about 98% of damaging ultraviolet or UV light. But the ozone layer has gotten thinner. Chemicals called chlorofluorocarbons, or CFCs, are the primary culprits in ozone layer breakdown. A CFC is a molecule that contains the elements carbon, chlorine, and fluorine. CFCs are mostly found in refrigerants, aerosols, and plastic products. When CFCs are exposed to ultraviolet rays in the atmosphere, they break down into substances that include chlorine. The chlorine reacts with the oxygen atoms in ozone and rips apart the ozone molecule. Areas of damage in the ozone layer are often called ozone holes, but that name is misleading. Ozone layer damage is more like a thin patch, with the thinnest areas near the poles. The ozone layer above the Antarctic, in particular, has been impacted by pollution since the mid-1980s. There, the region's low temperatures speed up the conversion of CFCs to ozone-damaging chlorine. About 90% of CFCs currently in the atmosphere were emitted by industrialized countries in the Northern Hemisphere. In 1989, the Montreal Protocol banned the production of ozone-depleting substances. Since then, the amount of chlorine and other ozone-depleting elements in the atmosphere have been falling. Scientists estimate that chlorine levels will return to their natural state in about 50 years. By then, the Antarctic ozone hole will shrink to smaller than 8 million square miles.
The third decade of the 21st century has begun. The environmental challenges we have ahead of us, set out in the UN's 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, are many. This global plan of action, adopted in 2015, puts forward specific measures to achieve a world that is fairer, more prosperous, and more respectable of the environment within 10 years. With the help of many surveys and a lot of research, it has been found that more than 50% of people across the globe believe that abrupt climate change...
So good day everyone, I am Engine Cadet Lahot, and today I will discuss about the environmental policy. So an environmental policy can be defined as a government's chosen course of action or plan to address issues such as pollution, wildlife protection, land use, energy production and use, waste generation, and waste disposal. So, the environmental policy involves governmental actions at the federal, state, and local level to prevent environment and conserve natural resources. So, environmental protection is balanced with other public policies concerns such as economic growth, affordable energy, and the rights of the businesses and individuals. So, kanang environmental policy can include laws and policy addressing water and air pollution, chemical and oil spill, smog, drinking water quality, land conservation and management, and wildlife protection, such as the protection of endangered species. So, the aim of the environmental policy is to balance environmental protection and conserve of natural resources with other policy goals such as affordable energy as well as economic growth and employment. So there are five main environmental policy, which is the Clean Air Act, Clean Water Act, Endangered Species Act, Toxic Substance and Hazardous Waste Management Act, Ecological Solid Management Waste Act. So let's start with the Clean Air Act. So Republic Act number 8749, otherwise known as the Philippine Clean Air Act, is a comprehensive air quality management policy and program which aims to achieve and maintain healthy air for all Filipinos. Next is the Philippine Clean Water Act of 2004, aims to protect country's water bodies from pollution from land-based sources such as industries and commercial establishment, agriculture, community, and household activities. Next is the Endangered Species Act, which kanang it's important because it protects species who are threatened, or any form of collection shall be prohibited except for scientific, educational, or breeding propagation purposes. Next is the Republic Act 6969 of the Philippines, also known as the Toxic Substance and Hazardous and Nuclear Waste Control Act. The act was carried out to control and supervise, regulate activities on toxic chemicals and hazardous waste. And lastly, the Ecological Solid Waste Act is the act that provides for comprehensive ecological solid waste management program by creating the necessary institution, mechanism, and incentives, appropriating funds, declaring certain acts prohibited, and providing penalties.
Good day everyone, I am Engine Cadet Torres Jules Vincent V to report about the programs of government around the world that addresses environmental crisis. So, what is environmental crisis? So, environmental crisis is a dramatic, unexpected, and irreversible worsening of the environment leading to significant welfare losses. And what are the examples of environmental crisis? We have global warming, deforestation, ozone depletion, water pollution, and air pollution. So this is now my topic. Programs of government. First is support small agricultural and producers. So governments can make a difference by supporting small local producers who, unlike large factory can emit a lot of greenhouse gases, like 15 to 18% of greenhouse gases. And it also employs sustainable practices, care about land restoration, benefit nearby communities, and make animals and crops more resilient to climate change. Next is solid waste management.
This program ensures that solid waste are identified, classified, collected, transported, stored, recycled. We already use this program, the solid waste management. We have that in our school, in our barangays, like hazardous, recyc- recyclable, non-hazardous, and or malata or dili malata. Green purchasing. This program encourages the purchase of recycled content materials. So this one is we also practices this kind of program, like in stores they do not use plastics, they only use paper bags, and some stores here in the Philippines or other country, they want their customers to bring a bag or a recyclable bag, and they will not use plastics anymore. And also we have like straws. Some of our some people uses metal straw, they will not use plastic straws. And some alternative fuel vehicles, bio-based products, environmentally preferable products, and non-ozone depleting substances. Next is energy management. This program seeks to reduce electricity consumption. So this program is we we will not use a lot of electricity. And outdoor operations and support HHS and NIH agency-wide efforts to reduce campus building energy intensity and increase usage of renewable energy. So this is energy management, that we will not use a lot of energy and we will increase the usage of renewable energy. So lastly is the wastewater. This program reduces the potential for pollutants to enter the sanitary sewer system through effective pretreatment, source reduction, proper chemical disposal, and other wastewater management programs. So this is we can practice this at home. This program we can practice this at home, like when you're brushing your teeth, you need to turn off the faucet if you are not using it, and also in washing the dishes or when you're taking a bath. And that's all for my report.
Have heard about global warming and how, with so much pollution, we're destroying our beautiful planet. But don't worry, in this video, I will show you important tips to help take care of the environment and our planet. Or you bring your own water bottle every time you go out, so you don't have to buy a plastic one on the street. Take your own bags with you. As long as you remember, pack a preferably cloth bag in your backpack. So when you go to the supermarket or shopping with your parents, they don't need to ask for plastic bags. What happens, guys, is that a single plastic bag takes more than 150 years to decompose. So the less we use, the less we pollute, and the better for the planet. Always save water. In my other video about water and its care, I tell you the importance of this precious liquid of life and how you can help take care of it. Remember to always turn off the faucet while brushing your teeth.
Good day everyone, I am Engine Cadet Gomora, and after my groupmates discussed about the origins and manifestations of global environmental crisis, I am tasked to report about the relationship of population growth to environmental issues. First, let us define what is population growth. So, population growth. Population growth is the increase or the size of human population changing over time. In my previous discussion about global demography, it relates about the population growth that talks about a function balance between fertility rate, also known as the birth rate, and the mortality rate, also known as the death rate. Population size is forever changing because there is natural increase or natural change between the society. Next, let us define environmental issues. So, environmental issues. It talks about the issues that are defined as harmful effects to Earth and its natural systems due to the actions of humans. From what we have experienced these past years, we witnessed how our actions resulted to environmental issues that we are facing today. In that matter, we are trying to correct our ways to solve these problems, to prolong the longevity of environment surroundings. And now to answer the topic about the relationship of population growth to environmental issues, that the relationship between the growth and environment issues is like cause and effect of things we do that notably affects the population growth and environmental issues at the same time. If the size of the population increase, then the environmental issues will worsen. If the population decreases, then the environmental issues will lessen. Let's say, for example, increasing of extractions of resources such as fossil fuels, oil, gas, and coal. If the population growth will increase, then the demand of these raw materials will also increase. In other words, these non-renewable resources doesn't have time to replenish or multiply themselves if the population growth increases, which results to environmental issues regarding overpopulation and loss of resources, and possibly can lead to many more issues. Now, for my next topic is about food security. Food security. Food security, as defined by the United Nations Committee of World Food Security, it means that all people at all times have physical, social, and economic access to sufficient, safe, and nutritious food. Also, there are four levels of food security, namely availability, access to food, utilization, and stability. In my perspective, people should be given enough food that meets their food preferences on their plates based on their dietary needs for them to have an active and healthy life. For security, involves programs to give food to those people who are in need. For example, those who lack access of resources, including financial and transportation. Next is the lack of access to nutritious food and lack of knowledge about healthy diet. And now, to add on, I will show you a video about the global food security, and let's watch it carefully.
Achieving our goal of ending global hunger often means providing food for people in need, but we know that more is needed to ensure people enjoy food security. So, what do we mean by food security? Food security is when all people have regular access to enough nutritious food to lead healthy and active lives. The key word is access. How do you access food? You can buy it, or produce it yourself, or both. To buy food, everyone needs income. A job or livelihood provides money to buy food. If a livelihood is not possible, say if someone is sick or elderly, a safety net is needed for people to access food. In developing countries, many people get some or all of their food and income by growing crops, gathering food, fishing, or raising animals. Better food security means improving these livelihoods. For example, training and support on how to produce more and better food, or improving access to land, markets, or supplies. Kadaya is a single mother of 3 children living in northern Bangladesh. Kadaya has no land, but works on the fields of a local landowner. When there's work available, she's able to provide food for her family. But during the off-season, when there is no work and no reliable income, her children sometimes go to bed hungry. Through a local food security project, she was able to buy a cow and then receive training to look after it properly. The cow's milk provides Kadaya's family with nutritious food, and she can sell some of the milk in the local market for extra income. The result is that Kadaya is more sure of where her next meal is coming from all year long. Her kids are more active and learn better in school. Her family is now more food secure. There are many ways you can be involved in improving people's access to enough nutritious food to lead healthy and active lives. Canadian Food Grains Bank exists to end hunger and improve global food security. Visit our website to learn more and
So now we have a clearer, more um, clear understanding about food security, and now we would like to present to the next reporter, Mr. John Noel Bass.
Hey everyone, I'm Engine Cadet Bas Joel, and I'm going to discuss about the relationship of population growth to sustainability, development, and the future of globalization. So first is sustainability. So population growth, so in a particular places, increasing pressures on the planet's resources, the water, forest, land, and the Earth's atmosphere, contributing to climate change and challenging environmental sustainability. However, population dynamics do not only affect critical development objectives, so they are themselves affected by social, economic, and environmental changes. So, population growth makes it more difficult for low-income and lower-middle-income countries to afford the increase in public expenditures on a per capita basis that is needed to eradicate poverty and hunger and malnutrition and ensure universal access to healthcare, education, and other essential services. On the other hand, population growth do not only pose challenges, they also provide important opportunities for more sustainable development. A fall in fertility levels and slower population growth, for example, leads to an increased concentration of the population in the working age range, which can enable countries to reap a demographic bonus and jumpstart economic development. And also, urbanization can be a powerful driver of sustainable development. Higher population density enables government to more easily deliver essential infrastructure and services in urban areas at relative low cost per capita. Livable and sustainable cities have knock-on effects in terms of providing rural populations with greater access to services such as education and healthcare, while also empowering them economically. Furthermore, urbanization can produce energy savings, particularly in the housing and transportation sectors. So next is a relationship of population growth to development. So the quantity, quality, structure, distribution, and movement of a population can help or hinder the rate of economic development. A developed country with low population density and a low percentage of employable people needs an increase in population in order to keep up with economic development. On the other hand, for an underdeveloped country with high population density and a high percentage of employable people, any increase in population will be detrimental to its economy. Man is a producer as well as a consumer. And in order to balance the rate of production and the rate of consumption, a certain population level must be maintained. The status of the economy determines the appropriate level. Population policy must be developed according to the following guidelines. So first, it must be based on the society's economic development, since the economy and population are closely related. They must both be worked on at the same time, and both the quantity and quality of life of the population must also be worked on at the same time. Dealing with the relationship between population and the economy, economic development of society properly can bring about rapid improvement in the economic development and standard of living of that society. And lastly, is the relationship of population growth to the future of globalization. The impact of globalization on population is both direct and indirect. So globalization has influenced the speed of development, serving as an impetus for faster growth in some countries and retarding growth in others, increasing sector, product, and capital market integration allowed GDP to increase in Europe and North America at a faster rate than it have otherwise. In the long run, all groups gained from the market integration, but some groups gained from more than others. In the short to medium run, some groups may have lost because of competition from other countries' imports. The phase of development in turn has influenced nutritional levels, economic structure, and urbanization, levels of literacy, opportunities for women, and other social economic conditions that influence fertility, mortality, and migration. So, globalization can also have a potent influence on population. Perhaps most obvious is the influence of migration, of policies towards the international flow of refugees, workers, and their families. So, the forces of globalization have also directly influenced fertility and mortality. In some instances, globalization has been an important positive force, particularly with respect to the globalization of healthcare. The most notable example of a negative impact is probably the effect of globalization of the spread of disease. Indirectly, a globalization influences the speed of development, stimulating faster economic growth in some countries than the others.